Welcome to Make Your Money Matter. I'm your host, Brad Barrett, and our show aims to help you create a better relationship with your money. And today on our show, we're going to switch gears from some tax conversations we've been having, and I want to talk about father time. And I'm going to use a little story here that I think is really important because many of you know who listen and follow the Make Your Money Matter show and us here at One Capital Management, we're very appreciative of all of you. And I want to stop sometimes and just share what is most important and what we're really trying to build wealth for. Because I'll say this, it's not to add zeros to your bank account. It's really to buy yourself time. And we're gonna talk about that today. But before we get started, make sure to smash that subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you don't miss a single episode. All right, let's get started. So in talking about a concept of time, as you know, I talk about, time all the time here on our show, pun intended. And I wanna give you a little anecdotal evidence through, we'll call it a parable, a story, but it's a true one. So Alexander the Great was on his deathbed. In fact, he was dying and he called his generals and told them what he wanted to have happening. And he gave them three things. Number one, he only wanted the very best doctors that wanted to basically carry his coffin. And number two was to scatter his wealth on the road to the graveyard. And now many of you right here are rolling your eyes going, wait a minute, Brad. But I want to talk about this here because it's important. And number three was they wanted him to leave his hand hanging in the wind for everyone to see. Now, obviously, like many of you, as I was reading this story, his generals were shocked and really asked him to explain. Now, how Alexander replied, I think, was really key here. And he said, number one, I want doctors to carry my coffin to show that even the best doctors are powerless to cure in the face of death. He then went on and spoke about his second wish that I think all of us are kind of like baffled on when it comes to money, right? He gave his generals and he said, I want the roads scattered with my wealth so everyone can see that riches we receive on earth will stay here on earth. And then lastly, he said this, I want my hands to swing freely in the wind so that people understand that we are born empty-handed and we will leave empty-handed after what's most precious is gone, and that is time. Friends, you've heard this saying before. It's a famous one by Jasper Singh that some people use their money to make more money and some people use their money to look like they have more money. And the choice is always yours. And when we talk about the concept of time and why we are in this wealth building environment, why you're watching or listening to our show, that I've been so blessed as an advisor to sit here kneecap to kneecap with many of our clients and talk to them about what is most precious to them around their money. And the reality is, and for many of you watching here, you understand this by now, that money isn't necessarily about flexing your zeros or flexing your muscles around how much you have in your bank account or wearing it. In this quote I mentioned from Jasper, seeing some people using their money to look like they have more money, be careful here because it's a trap. Know this. What's here on earth will stay here on earth. Invest for the purpose of what is most important to you, which for many, and I want to share this, is your time and your relationships. We talk about this often here on the show, and it's an emotional roller coaster around money. And I'm always inclined to share this biblical truth because the root of worry is fear, if you break it down. And fear doesn't come from a higher power. It doesn't come from God. The heart of worry is really where the enemy lies. And we hear in the good book, right? The scripture is very clear that the devil lies. He's a liar. So it's really important to understand when we talk about things like fear or worry or anxiety, about not having enough or not having what someone else has, and the whole, looking over your shoulder or keeping up with the Joneses environment, you want to really be careful and get back to the basics of why you invest. That's what today's show is about. Why we are in this, again, building wealth environment, why it's so important because it's investing back in what is most important to you. And I want to end today's show, which is more of just a statement to all of us here this week with another parable. And I'll leave you here with this. One day, a rich dad took his son on a trip to a village and he wanted to show him how poor someone or some people can be. They spent time on the farm of a poor family. And on their return from the trip, the father asked his son, how was the trip? The son replied, oh, it was great, Dad. And then the father asked, did you see how poor people live? And he goes, oh, yes, said the son. The father asked, so tell me, what did you learn from the trip? And this is how the son answered it. Well, Dad, we have one dog, they have four. We have a pool, they have rivers. We have tube lights at night, they have stars. We buy foods, they grow theirs. We have walls that protect us, they have friends. We have a television and they spend their time with family and relatives. Now, like many of you listening to the story, if you haven't heard this before, the boy's father was kind of speechless, right? Because it was not the intention of why he brought his son there. But his son added this, thanks, Dad, for showing me how poor we are. Guys, perspective with money is always important. Understanding why you are doing, what you are doing with your money matters. We talk about that here every week on the Make Your Money Matter show. In fact, that's why I named the show Make Your Money Matter, because making your money matter for you is what's important, not mattering to the world, to your neighbor, to your colleagues, or even to your family. And I think if you haven't found an advisor who truly understands that and sits with you and discusses it, find that person, help them, help you, right? Create and build wealth for yourself and buy back time. It's the most important thing in life, time and a relationship. So invest in those things. Hey, I hope you enjoyed that today. If you did, make sure to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss a single episode. And always remember to make your money matter.